This is Charles. I am the CEO and owner of ravorisports.company.site, Ravery Sports Podcast, Ravery Sports for fans like me. Thank you, all of you, for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports Podcast. Thank you for joining us no matter where you're located here. If you're located anywhere out there and you're a Ravens or Orioles fan, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to get right to business here. Genesis Notary Services, Facebook.com is Facebook.com. Definitely, if you want to go ahead and check us out on our website, Genesis Notary Services, Facebook.com. You want to book appointments, book time, anything on the website as well. You can book it right there on the website. Phone number is there as well. You can go ahead and give us a call. If you want to book on the website as well. Had a couple calls this week. Thank you out there, or for all of you out there that have used that as well. C. Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. Value on the Legal Shield business is tremendous. If you want to go out there, get Legal Shield, get ID Shield. Hey, maybe some of you business owners out there, you're looking for some help with legalities in your business, especially you contractors, you plumbers who are maybe having trouble collecting funds. We got Legal Shield here that's going to go ahead and help you with that. So definitely we're going to go ahead, and if you need that service, value is tremendous. Still haven't had one complaint about it. So thank you very much for that as well. All of you out there that have enjoyed the Legal Shield as well. All right. A little bit of a somber tone for several reasons today. Let's go ahead and start with the obvious today. The Francis Scott Key Bridge did have a collapse early on Tuesday morning. Apparently there was a boat that malfunctioned and go ahead hit the bridge and actually took the bridge down. There was an explosion. This was very early in the morning on Tuesday morning. So very bad. People died. I think it was, the last time I heard, it was about 7 people that passed away. Apparently everybody on the boat survived, which is good as well. But there were cars going over the bridge when this happened, when the bridge actually collapsed. Police are still there trying to go ahead and get people out of the water, if that's at all possible. So you guys are watching this on Wednesday, so sure this thing is being updated by the minute as well. Very sad. As I lived in Baltimore for 31 years, I know some of you out there who are Ravens fans, Orioles fans aren't necessarily Baltimoreans, but I am. That's at the base of this for me, being a Baltimorean, living there for 31 years, going to Baltimore City College, living in East and West Baltimore, living in parts of Baltimore County. When somebody asks me to this day, I haven't lived there since 2009. I haven't lived there. I'm a Baltimorean. So my thoughts and prayers, Ravery Sports, absolutely are with all the people involved, hoping for as many lives can be saved, many lives can be covered, many things that can happen. There's no positives really in this situation. But we're hoping for as many lives that can be saved, as many people that can hopefully come out of this. Pray for all the people involved. It's going to be busy. I'm sure the first responders, I mean, what's missing? And again, the National Guard, the firefighters, the police officers, they're out there risking their lives right now. A lot of times that doesn't get counted in the death toll and everything like that when you have something like this. So it is terrible. And I've living in Baltimore as long as I did. Let me tell you, I rode across that bridge all the time. Rode across Francis Scott Key Bridge. I mean, there's no such thing as somebody who lived in Baltimore 30-some years and they didn't go across that bridge all the time. And I don't want to be insensitive here. I'm going to say this, and also in the sense of it's the time of day actually helped the fact that it wasn't more people killed. I did think about that as well, unfortunately. if this had been 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I shudder to think what would happen. The time it was, in fact, it was super early in the morning. Probably, I mean, more people. So we're thankful for that, at least that this was different time of day as well. I know a lot of you today weren't focused on sport. I could see that when I was on the thing. A lot of people were talking about the bridge, of course. So let's just pray for everybody involved. A lot of you are watching this are from Baltimore or living in Baltimore right now, and I'm a Baltimorean. My hearts and prayers and thoughts are all with you, Ravery Sports, the entire business here that I have. My family, my personal family, the Harris family, is very been praying today. My daughter was speaking about it, talking about it at school today. Of course, they were talking about it. Uh, so I'm not going to add any more than that. But thoughts and prayers with everybody involved. Absolutely. With the bridge. We are going to talk sports today. We are going to get down to business of talking sports. Energy's a little bit down, obviously, but we're going to get to it. We're going to talk a little Ravens football. We absolutely are going to talk baseball. That was a travesty with what's going on with there. I can't wait to get on that. We're going to break down the Ravens roster. We start with the Rave, then we go to the Ori. We're going to talk a little March Madness as well. A little NBA today. A little stir up a little something in the NBA. Ravens, breaking down the Ravens roster, the depth chart as well. I have that there on the screen. Roster moves are trickling in now. So this is not the entire roster yet. Okay. We're not going to know until the draft. There's obviously things still happening that's going on right now. But let's take a look at what's here now, right? A lot went out the door. We already covered that. I mean, they lost Ronald Darby, you lost Patrick Queen, you lost Kevin Zeitler, John Simpson, Morgan Moses has been traded. A lot went out the door. So you got 9 draft picks that you haven't had the draft yet, which the Ravens absolutely feel like that's the biggest time to add to their team. But what's here right now? Okay. So if they're going to play a game on today, on March 27, what does the roster actually look like here? So let's take a look here at what we got. This is the biggest ad right now. Lamar obviously is QB1. Can he go ahead and win the Super Bowl for us? Second MVP season that he's had in his career. Josh Johnson's the backup. I see a lot of. I actually like him. Not that I actually like him better than some fans apparently like him. Look, he probably should be a third stringer. I think they go in the draft and get somebody late, but I don't think it's his bad. I think of Josh Johnson. I'm fine with him getting through a game. If you need him for several weeks, if you need him to put a lot of points, no. But can Josh Johnson get you through a game? Absolutely. No question about it. Derrick Henry. Interesting to see here. I'm going to talk about this. The poll question I put out, everybody was saying, who's going to have more rush yards next year? Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson? And I put this in a few chats and did a little and then everybody was like, this is a silly question, man. Derrick Henry. Okay. I'm not so sure. Hear me out. Lamar has led the team in rushing so many years, especially watch the roster here, if they do take a running back. That's big. That'll show you. The Ravens kind of don't like bell cow, don't like a guy carrying the load, don't like a guy doing so much. Especially if they take a running back in the first 3 rounds, that's an indication to you. Now, again, if they give Henry as many carries as they can handle, there's no question about it. I don't see that happening. That hasn't happened really here. We haven't really had a bell cow since Ray Rice. So let's see if they give Henry the opportunity to be a bell cow in this offense. Justice Hill, I think, is a good fallback option to hear no matter what happens in the draft. Keaton Mitchell was very good last year. You may not have Keaton Mitchell for a lot of the year. So keep that in mind. Pat Ricard, no question, he's on the team. He's one of one in the entire league. No matter who's running it, it's Lamar or Derrick Henry. You want Pat Ricard blocking for you. Zay Flowers and Tylen Wallace at the top of the screen there. Zay Flowers rather, is the number one receiver on the team. No matter what happens in the draft, no matter what happens, whoever else they bring in. That's it. Tylen Wallace, I think as of right of now, we'll talk about that. He's going to be on the team. He's also, to your number one kick punt returner. They're going to be changing the rules with the kick and punt return. So that role might be integral more again. Rashard Bateman is going to be wide receiver 2. Nelson Aguilar is at the 3. That's about right. Are they going to pick up the option? They have to decide pretty soon about Rashard Bateman's 5th-year option. I don't think they're going to pick it up. We will see if they pick it up. Rashard's option. Aguilar, I think, is smart enough. He signed early last year. He signed early this year. I thought he was really good. I think they're really lucky to have him back. I think this is a good fallback option no matter what happens in the draft, etc. Mark Andrews came back in a championship game. He should be ready to go week 1 next year. Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar put that in pen. I doubt they even draft a tight end with these 3 guys. You got a couple more years of Kolar. You got a long-term contract for Andrews. Strength on the team. Offensive line. Let it begin. Ronnie Stanley. This is the first team that I have for now, and this is not anything official from the Ravens, but this is how I stack it up right now. Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees at left guard, Tyler Linderbaum, Ben Cleveland at right guard, Daniel Falele. Patrick McCarry, I think, can fill it in any of those spots. I think they still would rather leave him at 6 where they get the true value. Josh Jones got signed in free agency. I don't know about that one. I think they just I think they wanted an extra camp body there. And Lalutu there is still there. He was in the left guard fight for a lot of camp with John Simpson, who's now gone. So keep that in mind as well. Unimpressive, guys. Voorhees, we really don't know what he can do. Voorhees had trouble health staying in college. He had trouble health staying in the combine. He probably would have, if he had stayed healthy, he probably would have had a 3rd-round grade. I mean, according to everybody. But is that a starter? I don't know. Big question mark there. The right side, I think there are a lot of people not liking the right side if this is what it is. Ben Cleveland and Daniel Falele. Falele kind of struggled, I thought, as well, more than he did his rookie year. He looked pretty good a couple times out of his rookie year. I think he struggled more last year. Ben Cleveland, I think right guard is where he can play. I think this is probably the best of the options there. They definitely got to go in the draft and do something. Definitely have to go in the draft and do something. And they're for sure going to do that. They got 9 picks. So upgrading the team, they're definitely going to go in the draft here. Defensive line is set pretty good. Justin Matabuke, Michael Pierce, Broderick Washington, Brent Urban, Travis Jones. Urban has already been extended. Travis Jones still with Pierce. I thought Jones would take over the spot from Pierce, not because he's been so poorly. I think eventually he will be. But I think Pierce just outplayed him last year. I thought Pierce was really good. Pierce is really good. As quiet as kept, he stayed healthy. He's always been good. He's a good run stopper to have perfect nose tackle, especially next to Matabuke. Part of the reason is quiet as kept why Matabuke had such a good year because you had big Mike Pierce in there. Linebackers. This is of right now. Adafi Owe, Roquan Smith, Trent Simpson, David Ajabo on the roster as well. Those are your starters. Malik Harrison, Chris Board, Tavarius Robinson is backups as well. So definitely going to be some movement here. Jadeveon Clowney, Kyle Van Noy. I think Kyle Van Noy may resign. Clowney's going to get a lot of interest. Maybe not. Harbaugh seems to want it. That's always a sign that he wants it, and he likes the guy when he comes out publicly like he has. So that's a thing. But we'll see. I think he's going to have a lot of interest. Roquan and Trent Simpson, I think you can basically go ahead and lock that in as far as that. I'm thinking they're going to draft a linebacker inside. I'd be surprised. They also brought Chris Ford, Malik Harrison in as well. So they're not going to just hand it to him. He's going to have to earn it. But I think playing next to Roquan Smith can make a lot of people look good. We got no answers with Ajabo and Owe. Nothing. We're kind of in the same spot as we were last year with those guys. We still don't know. Owe trending down, in my opinion. When you're mentioning pressures, yeah, that's not that's not a good thing. Now the good news is it's not as bad edge rush as it is because you have Justin Matabuke. So I think that kind of like it's not as big of a need as it maybe looks like it is because you have Matabuke here. Secondary on your team: Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton. Nickelback, I think, to still be determined. Darius Washington won the job out of camp last year pretty much, and then he was injured. So I'm going to pencil him in right there at the nickelback spot here so far. Pepe Williams is there. Kamar Hamilton, and have him at safety. He's pretty much a corner, but you got a couple corners already. He was signed. Arthur Millette is absolutely going to be your third corner. No question about it. Still waiting on Pepe Williams and Justin Armour Davis. They were on the roster all last year. Really didn't contribute. We still don't know. Injuries, not contributing much. Kind of like similar to the Russians. What do we actually have with those guys as well? So it'll be interesting to see what they had. Definitely, this is a draft need. I think the safety position. Geno Stone went out the door. You traded away Chuck Clark last year. Backup safety is going to be a thing. You know, you have outstanding starters with Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton. Marcus needs to stay healthy. Very important. Okay. One last one: Justin Tucker, Jordan Stout, Tylan Wallace. I have him as the number one, and Nick Moore. Tyler Ott's already signed with a different team. Nick Moore is back healthy, should be the starter. Maybe they give him some competition because he hasn't played in a year. We'll see if they give him some competition. But I think it's probably, I'm pretty sure it'll be Nick Moore. Tylan Wallace, I'm going to pencil him in as the number one. As for now, like that's another spot for sure in the draft. They're going to look at kick returner, punt returner. Justice Hill has actually done some kick and punt returns. Maybe they split that up with Duvernay gone as well. A lot of times you use a running back more at a kickoff return and a punt return, so we'll see that as well. It is possible. So there you go. The roster as it is right now, as far as depth chart, couple things. Michael Gallup looking to sign possibly with the Ravens. Because you got to replace Odell Beckham Jr., who's definitely not coming back. And also, too, you had Josh Reynolds on your team looking to sign with a team, came in for a visit. Now, why didn't they sign? Okay, Rock Ya-Sin was a great example like this. They came in for a visit and they signed. They're going to sign if you pay them. They're going to sign if you pay them a big contract. Short of that, a lot of veterans don't necessarily want to sign. Why don't they want to sign now? They're waiting for the draft, right? They don't want to go ahead and sign now and then have the Ravens draft 3 receivers, and then you're stuck further behind the depth chart. So they don't want to do that. So unless they're getting a large contract, which they're not going to give them, it's probably a 1-year deal, possibly 2-year deal, avoidables or something like that. They're not going to want to sign. So you're going to see a lot of guys like those guys kind of wait until after the draft, then sign. Rock Ya-Sin, that's exactly what he did. He came in for a visit way before the draft. Then he saw the Ravens didn't sign in a draft any really high, except Kyle Blue Kelly, and so he signed elsewhere. So he did sign with the Ravens. All right. So we got that squared away. I had to charge my computer there. They get that squared away. Love the fact that we're able to pause on StreamYard. Absolutely. So there you go. Ravens roster there. So definitely check that out as well. Let's see how the roster builds. Next week, we're going to do one more mock draft 3.0 for the whole league. And we're going to do the Ravens as well. We're going to look at the mock draft as we go in as well. The madness is going on. I actually show up for work nowadays with the madness going on. So I didn't go. I actually did not skip work. I actually went in for the madness. Um, a lot of talk about the women's tournament surpassing the men. I always like the men's tournament as well. Uh, a lot of good games, I thought as well. So obviously no Terps in it, so I'm not covering it quite as like from the podcast standpoint as much as I might, especially if we get Terps in it. But I think we've had some good games, good storylines going on. Interesting, a lot of upsets last year. Purdue got knocked out in the first round last year. All the number one seeds are still there. Purdue still in, North Carolina still in, Houston still in, UConn still in. I think these four can absolutely be in the Final Four, obviously, because of good seeds. Purdue and UConn, I think, are on a different level than everybody else. North Carolina looks pretty good, but I don't really see a team that's uh, at the same level as those two. To me, those look like the two best teams. Looking at them, when I look at Purdue and I look at what Zach Edey and I look at UConn, I think those look like the two best teams. NC State, lowest ranked seed, still left, number 11. So the Wolfpack are still in. They beat a 14 seed, the team that upset Kentucky. So they were upsetting the 6 seed in their series. They're the lowest seed still in. Good for the Wolfpack getting in, seed number 11. I thought the best game in the tournament was my favorite game was Colorado and Florida. Terrific. KJ Simpson at the end of the game. He had 30 points in the game. He was terrific in it, and he hit the jumper. That ball, oh man, it was like a movie or something. Like this is what's the great part about the tournament. That ball, like he hit the shot, and it must have rimmed like 4 times before it dropped in. So the high scoring game, I think it was of the first round. Game winner KJ Simpson goes ahead, gets in, and the Buffalo go ahead and knock out Florida. So that was their best game of the tournament, I thought, so far. I think this is more to form this year. I don't think we're seeing a lot of huge upsets. We had San Diego State in last year, Florida National. They've already been knocked out. Florida National, the coach Dusty Mays already taking the job at Michigan. San Diego State's got knocked out already. So we will see what's going on with the tournament. Now we're going to the Sweet 16. Now we're getting closer to the end. Next week, we're going to talk about the Final Four. We're going to go ahead and break down the 4 teams in the final as well. So we're happy to do that. Let's talk NBA. Let's shift to the NBA. I wanted to talk about this especially. I've been wanting to do this for a while because I think for so many years in the NBA, it's been on autopilot for a lot of things. Who is the best player in the league? It's LeBron, right? For a long time. Or you said before that, maybe you said Kobe Bryant. Before that, you said Michael Jordan, right? Maybe you said Shaquille. It's pretty much been on autopilot. Nowadays, I think there's a lot of conjecture about who it is. Who is the best player in the league? Steph Curry, I think, is still there. I don't think he's in the top 5. LeBron is still really good. It's tremendous how well he's doing, considering he's going to be 40. I mean, he's going to be 40. I think he's wants a 3-year extension with the Lakers if he didn't already sign it, something like that. So they're no longer, I think, the best 5 in the league. I think the best 2 are pretty clear, but it's interesting now to see the new era of the NBA come in. Who are now? I think there's a lot of conjecture to who are the best 5 players in the NBA. All right, so I want to go over that list with you. Number 5, this guy, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is really good. NBA. There you go. All right. So those are the 5 best players in the NBA as well. So we're going to go ahead and check that out. So we are going to talk some NBA. We're going to go towards the playoffs here pretty soon. So we're definitely going to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. More sad news, unfortunately. So we did have the bridge that collapsed, which was sad. Also, too, we had the death of the long-standing owner of the owners of the Baltimore Orioles passed away late last week. It was Peter Angelos, passed away at the age of 94 years old. He had been sick for a very long time. It's been years since anybody had seen Peter Angelos publicly or he's made any type. Must have been. It must be at least 7 or 8 years since he made any type of public anything. John Angelos has been running the team for several years now. I was worried about when Peter Angelos died, how people would react. Not liked at all in a lot of circles, unfortunately. A lot of the media, a lot of people really didn't like Peter Angelos. But I was very happy to see respectful. I think we're kind of losing that in society. I'm not going to soapbox on that too much. But like respect for the dead. Respect for the fact that this man passed away, and respect for there are people grieving his death. I don't know Peter Angelos, obviously. I never met him, but he has children, he has grandchildren, he had a wife, people who care about him. I'm sure he had friends or people who care about him. So that's true. So let's have respect. And I was glad to see that. I'm glad to see the Oriole fans, for the most part, have been respectful. So that's a good thing. Good things Peter Angelos did. He was a local owner when bought the team, and there was a lot of excitement when he bought it. It was a local owner. The Orioles, at that time, there might not be a Baltimore Orioles as we know them if it wasn't for Peter Angelos. That's very true. I've heard some people say, well, the lease was already signed. Yeah, but you got a local owner when you needed it. The big thing with that around that time, and this was around 1992, this was before the Ravens were here. And this was also to the Orioles were in bankruptcy at the time. He bought, actually how he got the Orioles. He bought them out of bankruptcy. It was a very precarious time for Baltimore sports fans. The whole thing with the Colts was still around. A lot of people were still stinging from the Colts not being there. So that was a thing where a lot of fans really were. That's why that whole having a guy from Baltimore own the team was a big thing. And the first couple years he was here, I mean, those were some of the best years of the franchise, frankly. Certainly in recent years. The team dominated in this, really predating me, like honestly, the 60s and the 70s. They won championship in 83. But the Earl Weaver era had pretty much ended. The rest of the 80s really weren't that good. They needed a new stadium. They actually got it. They actually got the new stadium, and Angelos came in and bought the team. And it was a good time, like those years in the early 90s, from about 92 when Camden Yards opened to 97 and 97 we had Davey Johnson, and then obviously after that, a lot of bad years. So I mean that's the way it went there. But let's be positive, be respectful. You know, the Peter Angelos has died. It is going to be official if this is as of today. David Rubenstein is going to take over as a control person for the Baltimore Orioles. This is official on opening day. So he is now in charge of everything with the Orioles as well. Now his team and his group are now in place. Obviously keeping Brandon Hyde, Mike Elias, etc. I don't know how much control he's had before that, since then, but definitely it's now David Rubenstein as the new owner of the Baltimore Orioles. Also, too, it's good that this is in place. I think the Angelos family, the fact that they're selling now, I think they've seen this coming. So they wanted to go ahead and get this done so this could be a smooth transition, which it's going to be because it's going to be on opening day. They're just waiting on the vote from the owners. They were waiting as of this recording. The Orioles are going to officially be voted on by the rest of the owners and get that as the new owners of the Orioles, David Rubenstein. All right. Let's get to the games here. We're going to talk Orioles. What do you think I'm going to talk about with that graphic? Service time manipulation. We're going to talk about that today. Jackson Holliday is sent to AAA by the Orioles. That's unbelievable. I went ballistic on so as much as I go ballistic on social. I try to be business-like, but as much as I go ballistic on social media, I still can't believe it. And also, what I can't believe is some of the commentary I've heard, some of the stuff I've heard. It's just ridiculous. You guys, to quote Malcolm X, you've been took, you've been suckered, you've been hoodwinked. I think I misquoted that. But what's wrong with y'all? This is a graphic again. Service time manipulation. Period. That's what this is. I'm gonna explain that what service time is. Because I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. I want to get to this first. Service time in the MLB, service time manipulation delays players' free agency by demoting them to the minors for the first 16 plus days, regardless of performance in the preseason, in the spring training league or in spring training or whatever. So regardless of how they played, you're going to send them to the minors anyway. Jackson Holliday hit over 300 and went to the minors. That's ridiculous. It's just flat out a bologna sandwich. Some of the stuff I heard too, y'all just crazy. I'm not going to pick on any content creators now. I'm not going to call them out by name or anything like that. But y'all, I'm shocked that fans and media are saying this. Jackson Holliday should be on the team. There's no question about it. They signed Tony Kemp today, who has played with Oakland instead of they sent Nick Maton down. They went ahead and released, I think, Nick Maton. So you'd rather have him than Jackson Holliday on your team, apparently. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the final roster. Colton Cowser didn't make it. Colton Cowser was terrific this string. Definitely deserves to make the final roster. He played a little bit last year, so he's going to be on the roster this year. Key with playing time. Stowers did not. I thought that was a crock too. I thought that was crockery too. Stowers, there was no better player, maybe in the entire American League, in spring training than Kyle Stowers. Kyle Stowers was off the chain good. Now, in his case, I'll defend the fact that maybe it was too little, too late for him. As good as he was, you could say if you're taking Cowser, who was almost as good, there was no really room for him on the roster. You didn't need two outfielders in that spot. You could argue that point. You could argue that point. If you're taking Cowser, you didn't need. I would have had them both, but I do understand an argument to be made for that. But that was complete garbage as well. Kjerstad, I think, was good too, but I don't think there really was room. Yeah, certainly, if there wasn't room for Stowers, there wasn't room for Kjerstad. Kobe Mayo got sent down. That's probably right. I can kind of live with that one, as good as he was in the spring, but still a ways to go. Still maybe like a few more months away. I can kind of live with that one. I think eventually he's going to be the third baseman. All accounts, it looks like they want Gunnar at short because they want Kobe Mayo eventually to take over at third base. That's the way it looks to me. Jackson Holliday, service time manipulation. It's no other reason. They're trying to manipulate the service time. What that is they get an extra year in 2030, I think it is, of team control. So a player in football, a player has to play 4 years before they become unrestricted free agent, and they could go ahead and play and take the service on any team. Baseball is longer than that. You have to play 6 years to actually get any kind of team control. You get the first 3 years, you have to pretty much take whatever the team offers, and then the next 3 years, you're arbitration eligible. So you get a chance to arbitrate certain numbers. You don't get a big monstrous contract, but you get more than what you had, especially if you're a really good player. You get arbitration eligible numbers. Now, there is a bit of a loophole in this. Nowadays, the top two finishers in the Rookie of the Year voting, each league was awarded a full year of service, regardless of how much they actually accrued that year. See Adley Rushman the previous year. So he's got a full year of service. So he's working on his third year because he was top two in voting in top two in voting that year, even though he didn't win Rookie of the Year. So he gets a full year of service, even though I think he came up around the end of May, I think it was. So I think that's what happened as well. So it's almost as if you don't want him to do that, to do that. This is service time manipulation. I'm going to say it one more time. Put it on the screen one more time. Service time manipulation. End of story. And to me, I'm going to say this. Here's why I don't defend service time manipulation to the fans, because it doesn't do the team any good, right? If Jackson Holiday, if you're so worried about a player becoming a free agent that far away, that means he's a good player. He should have an extension. What are you doing? Like you see it in Milwaukee. Jackson Carino got an extension. Wander Franco got an extension. Corbin Carroll got an extension. Hey, you're getting a bit of a discount by getting it early, and you're getting an extension for guys. So you're going to fight this hard to trade away Jackson Holiday for some more minor leaguers in 2030, but he can help you win right now. And it's amazing to me how many people in baseball are convinced this is the best course of action. Like, that's astounding. Why wouldn't you want if Jackson Holiday got outplayed by Adam Frazier, and I'm gonna end this rant. If he got outplayed by Adam Frazier, who's no longer on the team, or he got outplayed, I'd be the first one to say, go ahead, send him down. But they're manipulating. There's no other reason. He hit 300. He hits 300 on every level. He was good in spring. I heard, well, you got to work on second base, work against left hand. Yeah, right. Whatever. Service time manipulation. That's what they're doing. That's what's going on here. Kind of you saw the same thing with Grayson Rodriguez last year. There was a smaller case. There was some case to be made to send Grayson down. And he didn't manage expectations, which was crazy to me. Why wouldn't you, if you are Mike Elias, why would you say he's got a great chance to play out of spring training and then send him down when he plays well? If he ever had a chance. He never did. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. I'm gonna leave it right there. I don't want to get my YouTube stream taken down, yelling at them for obvious obvious money decisions made or perceived money decisions made that baseball decided. Okay, so we got a big game this week. So we had the death, we got new ownership, we have all these issues. I think the game will go on as scheduled. I've heard some people say because of what happened, it's possible that the game may not go on Thursday, on tomorrow afternoon. As of this recording, I have not heard anything that the game is being moved. But we're going to talk as if it is. Maybe it's moved to Friday or whatever. It is possible because of the tragedy that we had. But we're going to talk like as if the game is going to go on. I think it will on Thursday afternoon. So, Orioles are playing the Angels. Angels, this is probably the least expectation they've had in the last couple of years, where the Angels are not the team going on with a Shohei Ohtani, with Shohei Ohtani with the week he's had as well, being investigated possibly by MLB, $4.5 million in gambling. My goodness. More stay tuned on that situation there as well. But Angels not one of their favorites here. 73 and 89 last year. The Orioles 101 and 61 last year Birds were terrific. Mike Trout is still there. I think this is the alpha and the omega on the team. I'm not sure Trout's going to stay there all year. He's got to have had enough of this. Now, if some of this is his own doing, he can't stay healthy for a whole year. But look at what he's putting up. He only played, I think, 100 games last year. And look at the numbers he's putting up. He's terrific. I don't think he's any more the best player, best center fielder in the league, but he's still up there. He's definitely the best player on this team. Now, this situation is the opposite of Jackson Holiday. So he came up last year. He played in college last year, 2023 draft pick. He's now taking over at first base. He actually played a little bit last year. Nolan Stroll going to take over for them. Now, he's one of their prize picks. I think he's going to be a guy that be to look at to actually take some of the load off of Mike Trout as well. Totally rebuilding this roster. Who's starting? Patrick Sandoval. I think I even said it might be Reed Detmers, but it's been announced that he's going to start. That was what he did last year. 7.13, 4.11 ERA for the Halos. They don't have much pitching. I think that's the issue that they've had the last couple of years, that they can't develop pitching, and they really didn't actually go out and get any. Expectations high for the Birds. Adley with his first 2080 year. You can do that every year. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. 277, and I thought that was actually lower than I thought he was last year. This is the best catcher in all of baseball. I think outstanding defensively, outstanding leader for your team. 28, 277, and walk rate, batting eye of Adley is terrific. I think he's going to have a great day on the opener. Gunnar Henderson, the current reigning rookie of the year in the American League, 28 home runs, 82 RBIs, 255. It's hard to even remember that he was kind of struggling a little bit early. But Gunnar, I thought, had a terrific finish to the season at the end of the year. So I thought Gunnar really was. These two guys are going to be what they call aircraft carriers. They're going to be the two guys you're going to lean on. How much more can they develop offensively there that they have? Obviously, you still have Santander for one more year. You still have Austin Hayes. You still have Mountcastle as well, Ryan Mountcastle. So there's still a lot of offense on this team. You might have 5 guys, I think, home run that can hit about 20 home runs for you. And Corbin Burnes, I can't wait. The unveiling of Corbin Burnes as the new ace of the Orioles. No longer the Brewer. I think this guy can win the Cy Young. In my baseball predictions video, which is here on YouTube right now, and Twitch, and and Twitter, promoting that. This guy can absolutely win Rookie of the Year. This guy can actually win, in my opinion, Cy Young. I think with Garrett Cole not pitching, especially Kevin Guzman out, I think the door's wide open for him on this good Oriole team. Burnes, let's see how well he does on opening day. I think that's as high as his ERA is going to be. And on this team with this offense, he doesn't need to do any more than that. He can do that and be successful. There you go. All right. So we are going to have a game. Hopefully we have a game. And again, I'm recording this very late on Tuesday. You might as well say Wednesday morning, very late Tuesday night, very early. So I have not heard about the status of the game yet. It is possible that they're not going to have a game on Thursday. So we will see because of what happened in the Bay Bridge. We don't know the state of the city going forward with this. This, we're on day one of this. So trust me when I tell you, this is not going to be something that's going to be just one day and over and everything like that. There'll be less talk about it, I'm sure, tomorrow, but as we go along, rather. But, that impacts the city, and it's a big deal, and everything that's going on. So I'm looking forward to opening day whenever we get it. The Jackson Holiday thing was just That's just come on, guys. Come on, Michael Elias. Come on, guys. And come on, guys, out here with the saying that this is a good idea. What's wrong with y'all? That's just ridiculous. Why would you care about what's gonna happen in 2030? I will say this. One thing that I did hear that was right is, as I close the podcast here, one thing I would say that is right is I think for the long term in Jackson Holiday's career, it's not going to matter much. That's probably right. That's probably right. Because he's going to have a long, great career. He's only 20 years old. He's maybe going to be 21 by the end of the year. So he's going to have a long career, regardless of this first 2 months. So people are right about that. That's about it. You shouldn't have him in AAA, and you shouldn't have Tony Kemp and Nevin on the team next to Jackson Holiday with the stats he's putting up. And I thought Stowers, that was bad too. That was like, I felt bad for him. He really obviously doesn't have a future with the Orioles. I mean, I'd be kicking the lockers wanting to trade after that. All right. So thank you very much for joining us here with the Ravery Sports Podcast. Next week, mock draft 3.0. So we're going to have that for you with the whole league. We're going to go ahead and do that. Also to Ravens draft 3.0. We're going to go ahead. The next day, if you haven't noticed, I've been releasing a lot of this stuff on our social media after the podcast as well. So that's going to be there for next week as well. Thank you very much for joining us. You have a great rest of your day. Prayers for everybody in Baltimore as well. Shout out to all the first responders, to your National Guard, to your police officers, to your firefighters that are out there risking your lives to help with the recovery and the efforts for the bridge. Everybody stay safe. You have a great day.